Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray. And folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you're looking for a bank that you're not going to be embarrassed by on Monday morning, and if you followed the banking industry and known about bank failures this year, you know what I mean. Give Renaissance Bank a try. They've got a rock-solid balance sheet. They're a well-managed bank. And here's the thing. They're big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but they're small enough to do it in a personal way. And I know that myself from the clients I work with them on. So go to renaissancebank.com, find one of their local offices, some 200 across the Southeast, and give them a call. I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome returning guest. Cathy Reinking is with us. Cathy is with your It Factor. Cathy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, great to have you back. Let's talk about what you're up to at your It Factor. I love that name. Let's talk about what you're up to and how you're serving folks there.
Okay. I offer a charismatic leadership program for mid to big size companies from the top down. So really all the employees, including the executive directors and the CEO. Cool.
That begs the question, what is charismatic leadership?
Charismatic leadership is a leadership that is more authentic, real, grounded, not too slick, not too trying to be your friend. It's just like this perfect sweet spot of really connecting with people and not just faking connecting with people.
Ooh, I want to hear more about that. But I take it it's not the, let me show off the latest leadership tricks I learned in a book, right?
Right. Right. It is homegrown in my brain. And part of it is my experience that I've had, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, we certainly will. Before we get too deep into that, though, let's talk about you and your journey. And what's led you to forming your own company and your business in the direction you're at right now?
Well, I spent decades, in the upper echelons of television working on big shows. So, and I worked with a ton of actors, and I was doing R&D for charisma that whole time. I became an expert at it because I was always enamored of performers, and why was I attracted to one performer over the other? And it's never about the way they look at all.
Right.
It is not them being stuck up, or like the really good actors like Steve Carell, David Hyde Pierce, like the Christine Baranski, like the real great actors, which I worked with all those. The really great actors are incredibly humble, relatable, down to earth. So it's almost going against the stereotype of what we think stars are.
Right.
Because stars are just real people who are very authentic, and they can express themselves in a really relatable way. So I took all those skills that I've honed for, like I said, decades, and now, I bring it to business folks, because I do think sometimes business folks can want to come off too slick or too salesy, and it's kind of getting down to the real person they are.
Well, give us a vignette, if you don't mind, just an example of, and that's a good way to get into defining more deeply what charismatic leadership really is, right? Maybe a vignette from your experience in the entertainment world, from one of these individuals that you worked with, that helps illustrate this principle that you're so passionate about.
Well, like I said, David Hyde Pierce is a really good example. Because I watched him for, 8 years, 10 years. And
let's say who he is.
Oh,
for those
David
that
Hyde Pierce is Niles on the Frasier show. I worked on the Frasier sitcom, and a bunch of other stuff, but I don't like to boast.
Facts are friendly. That's what. You're not boasting if you did it.
Well, I worked on 3 Emmy-winning shows,
there
sitcoms,
you go.
and then a bunch of other stuff that wasn't as good.
Okay.
It's a living. So David Hyde Pierce, he was consistently just really himself, really, really humble.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people that make a lot of money. So
Right.
he wasn't changed by that. He was just always personable. He loved other people so much. He was always very kind. I've never seen him say a bad word. He's just really real and lovely. So it feels like the really good actors, which again is kind of counterintuitive,
Right.
the real ones tend to be like that, like very down to earth.
And is that one of the principal characteristics of charismatic leadership, is just simply being down to earth?
Yeah. And also
It's that simple.
it's that simple. And it's also,
I know it's not that simple, but
but I like to keep things simple.
yeah.
What it really is, what I discovered is that it's a charisma, like one's charisma is a perfect blend of their dark and light qualities. Like if you can find, again, that sweet spot of where you're being real and you're able to show some dark and some light, because if you were only showing light, you would be boring and nobody would believe you. And if you were only showing dark, you'd be repellent and nobody would want to talk to you. So it's finding your emotional qualities and then showing a more well-rounded you.
I want to make sure that everyone understands. I want to make sure I understand. You're dark and light. So you mean that part of you that's cheery, happy-go-lucky, what have you, and then that part that's dealing with the just the dust and mire of life, right? Yeah. And just showing that mix. Yeah. Whatever that mix happens to be.
Yeah. Whatever that mix, because you can be frustrated and contradictory. Like I'm an expert at finding your contradictory qualities, and that's kind of your gold, like frustration and optimism. Like you can, that's kind of me. Like I have both those qualities in me. So it's about finding almost your darker qualities and then your lighter qualities and then mixing them in so they're not repellent to either way. So it finds your own self, because so many of us, whether you're in entertainment or any kind of business or whatever you do, you're kind of putting on an act so that you're fitting in, especially if you might come from a background that wasn't wealthy or, you have imposter syndrome. So it's about really not putting on an act anymore and just being you and being okay with that.
Got it. Cathy Reinking is with us, folks. She has her own business called It Factor. Cathy, so in fact, I think most people, if you said, are you charismatic? They would say no, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that your experience?
Pretty much.
And so talk about whether that's really the case with a lot of people, whether most people are more charismatic than they think, and what are the obstacles that block them from getting from where they think they are to illustrating that charisma with others?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let me try to unpack it, as you would say.
Yeah, I laid a lot on you there.
You did.
Take
I was
your time.
trying to keep it all in my head.
Yeah.
And
Take your
so
time.
let's see how I do.
Yeah.
Yes, most people would say they're not charismatic because, and you do this with your intimate, people, your family and friends, where you're afraid. And let's say you get into a new relationship with somebody and you're afraid to show all of you because you'll think, oh, they won't like those darker parts of me.
Right.
So a lot of times you want to hide because you're not comfortable in your own skin. Also, when people are more right brain, is that the right term for people that are more analytic, or is it left?
Left, right. The left is more analytic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the right is more artsy.
Like artsy. Yeah, because I'm right then. Like I'm major right. But so the left brain people that are usually really successful people because they're very good at analysis and figuring stuff out, they don't realize that they have this other side of them that when they bring it out, they will be more charismatic. And it's not, putting on that you're optimistic today. It's just finding yourself. And that's what I do. I help people literally find their true selves, that they can be that way with anyone and not just their family and friends and good friends. So you can be that way. You feel it's like a vulnerability that's really beautiful. And it leads to more compassion, more empathy, and happier.
So charisma really starts inside.
Yeah. Yep. In your heart. Because sometimes your mind, your intellect will take over. And that happens to all of us. Because we don't want to show ourselves for fear of rejection. But that's the only way you're going to be just a happier human being. Is not hiding.
Your intellect, what you mean? You calculate way too much. In terms of the reactions that people will have and that kind of thing. Yeah,
and I've worked a lot with financial advisors and CPAs. They seem to be the toughest because again, they're very left brain, and that's how they've done a really good job. But there's an other side of them that they need to show too, to be more. Just to connect better with people in general, especially people you don't know. In business, we always have to meet new people, to get new clients. And that is very nerve-wracking. And so this helps you just be more comfortable with that.
Sure. What's at stake here? I mean, the leader that is charismatic versus the one that's not. I mean, this is a false dichotomy because it's as if someone they're all charismatic and not. I don't mean it that way, but but what's the gap here of not having charisma as part of your leadership? What ends up what's missing what are the liabilities that you have to encounter when that's the case?
Yeah, you're just, it feels like you're less humanistic. You're more narcissistic. You're not, because, one of the precepts of a good acting is it's always about the other person. Like if you're in it's always about the other person when you're acting. So what charisma coaching does is helps you look at it's always about the other person and it's not on you. So you don't feel so self-conscious. You don't, like I said, want to put on an act to make yourself feel more superior because that's not an act. That's usually a very insecure person who then becomes arrogant because they're hiding their insecurity. So it's like kind of accepting all of you. And then it's just more humanistic. And I think we need, there's so much, negative chatter right now. And we just need to connect better with each other for humanity's sake.
Right. So this is not something that comes natural, right? They don't teach you this in school, at least not the one I went through.
No, there's no. In fact, I should probably start a new program.
Yeah, probably
in colleges.
Yeah, probably so. So you come through and you come out of college or post-secondary education or even without college, whatever your journey is, and you've never really had this training and understanding of the importance of this. And if you realize that charisma is important, you kind of fake it, right? I mean, you and I guess by that, I mean, you really, you become something that you're not. Whatever your idea of charisma is, whether that's being more outgoing or, whatever it is, you plaster something on that really is not who you are.
Yes. And
did I get that?
Yeah. You got that. You're so
well, I'm working. I'm trying.
You are amazing.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And so people are hiding, and it can make people sick. It can make, like, you have to have a voice in this world. You have to have a real voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Like we all do.
Right.
So
there's some inner work here.
Yes, it's a lot of inner work. It's a deep dive into who you really are. This is how I work with people. It's a deep dive into who you really are.
Right.
And then, interviewing you on camera.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And then seeing your issues. I see your issues right away.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I didn't learn this. I'm just a really creative person, and I'm very observant, and I watched a lot of people, in entertainment make big mistakes, and then some great people. So it's just come out of, a lot of experiences, sort of this very unique process that I use. And so I interview you, and then you get to watch it, and we talk about it. It's almost like therapy, but it's almost like therapy. And then I will redirect you to allow you. I will do the right redirections. The things I say to you, and it's all unique to each person, it's not cookie cutter or anything. So it'll just help you relax and then really find yourself. It's really beautiful. I've seen people transform in ways I never imagined.
Wow. So you've worked with a lot of actors, but going beyond that, I mean, what is your, if you don't mind me asking, what are your credentials for doing this work? Because I mean, this sounds like something that's really a deep dive into people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not that you have to have a degree in psychology, but that's kind of what it sounds like.
Well, I have a degree in theater, and theater is where you learn, plays help you learn about humanity,
Yeah.
It just helps you learn about humanity. I'm also I was born with like a lot of I'm very counterintuitive. I'm very, I don't know. I've got this gift. I don't know what to call it. It is truly a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see people's issues really clearly. So I'm an expert at psychology. I'm an expert at reading people. I was gifted. I don't know what else to say.
Well, and that's a great answer. If that's what the answer is,
that is what the answer, because
that's fair enough.
Do you think I'm being genuine? Do you think I'm putting on an act right now?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Do I seem charismatic to you?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's my degree.
Okay.
Your endorsement.
Yeah, there you go. But you get why I'm asking that question.
Well, that's because
right?
Everyone's going to ask that.
Right.
Like, who are you?
Well, not just that, but just no. The way when you start talking about this inner work, you're talking about something a lot deeper, ostensibly.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is connecting the inner with what comes out.
Yes.
And that's really important, right?
Yeah.
Say more about that.
It's essential.
Yeah.
It's essential for us to connect better with each other, and especially from people from different walks of life than we are. It's just essential now.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people think that they can tap down the inner, that they can separate these two things, who they are internally, and maybe the turmoil that's going on with them internally. You call it the dark, from how they show up, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And
that's
you really
exactly
can't
right.
do that. And you really cannot do that.
What do you mean?
Well, you cannot disconnect where you are internally from how you show up,
Yes,
right? I mean, it's going to bubble up.
Yeah, it really causes illness. I really do think that way. Because if you're hiding, I mean, I don't have a doctor's degree.
Right. Yes.
I'm getting into tricky territory here.
Consult your local physician, right?
Right.
Your local psychologist.
They might agree with me. Yeah. Well, psychologists would definitely agree with me.
They would definitely agree with you.
But it can cause illness because your imposter syndrome is real for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it helps it just gnaws away at you. It just does. I mean, and your body is, you're all organic, and I don't know. I'm getting a little really woo woo right now. So can you help me out with this?
Yeah. I think it's real. So
okay.
I'm not,
all right.
I was not thinking woo woo. So, I was thinking this is like real talk, right?
Yeah.
Let's get real about what's
going on here.
Yeah. What's going on here. That's absolutely.
That's true.
Well, one thing you say is that, self knowledge is important. Self-awareness, but then acceptance.
And acceptance.
All these things, maybe in that order, are vital to success. So talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, you can still be quote unquote successful by being a jerk, by, only showing your dark qualities or only showing you can still be successful, but to be, feel better about yourself and your success. And that goes back to imposter syndrome. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone ever who has finally got their dream job and they go the first day and they're not thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. That I'm a fraud. I shouldn't be here. I've worked with, the top writers in television that have thought that when actors finally get their big break and they get to be a series regular in a top TV show, they feel that way. I can't imagine CEOs I can't imagine any person that doesn't feel that.
Yeah. Right.
And so this alleviates that nervousness, or that, what would that be called? That veneer of you hiding what you're feeling. It's a veneer, and people can read through that.
Sure. The anxiety that's underneath all the duck that seems calm on the surface of the water, but underneath is a lot of paddling, right? Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So one of the things that you say is that revealing one's authentic self, these are your words, revealing one's authentic self with everyone you meet.
Yep.
Wow. Everyone you meet is the best way to connect with others.
Yep.
You've scared me to death.
What are you afraid of?
I'm just, I'm speaking for the audience, right? Revealing my authentic self. What are you talking about there? I mean, that's not the way to go through life, revealing my authentic self with everyone. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know. Well,
devil's advocate with you.
That means you're a nervous person. You don't want some people to see your saboteur. Let's call it the saboteur, because I like to call it like your dark side. That is a saboteur, really. It's sabotaging you. Okay. Because it's saying you don't belong here. You're not a very good person. It's all your fears.
Right.
You're hiding that. And so how can you be relaxed when you're meeting new clients, or, be at your new dream job, or, I mean, when you're forced to be in very nerve-wracking situations, which most of us are, you'll just be more comfortable. I mean, isn't that a gift?
It sure is. Well, let's talk about let's shift into your process, because I'm interested in that. How you, we've talked a lot about where you're trying to get the people that you work with to, but let's talk about that process. You said you set people down and you put them on camera. Yeah. And interview them. Right. What is that process like?
So this is wholly original, owned by me. Nobody can take this idea. All right. So
nobody can execute this idea like you can.
Well, that's true. Yeah. The first time I did it with a top financial advisor company in Colorado, where I was living, the first time I did it, I was like, wow, this is why I was brought to this earth, is to do this. That's how strong I felt about it. So anyway, all right. So before the work, it's a workshop, and it would be ideal if it was 4 or 5 people in the workshop. Okay. If it's less than that, then it doesn't work as well. And if it's more, it's just too many people. So anyway, before the workshop starts, I give out a charisma exercise document that I made up. And within it, it has you make a list of your dark and light qualities. So you actually come in with a list of your 10 dark qualities and your 10 light qualities. 10 is a perfect number. So you come in with that list.
All right.
So then everyone comes to the workshop, and there's what I call the hot seat. So there's a hot seat, and I am on the other side of the hot seat, and have my video camera, and the person who's in the hot seat is sitting there, and I will just start having a conversation with them like you are doing with me.
Yeah.
So I would just start asking them questions. They're not cookie cutter questions. I don't go in thinking about what I'm going to ask. It's always different for each person, what vibe I'm getting from them. So then I ask them questions, and they talk for a while, and then I stop the camera and I ask the other people that are watching, how many emotional qualities did you just see? So usually the first round, people will say nervousness, worried, they'll say like one emotion.
Sure.
Okay. And it'll usually be a dark one,
All right.
So then, and everybody gets to be in the hot seat, and everybody gets to do it. And then the second round is I redirect you to be more yourself by you using the actual emotions that you have listed. So I will direct you until I see the real you finally coming out. Like there's a moment where it just clicks for everyone. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Sometimes it's longer for others. And sometimes it's quick, but I see you transform into yourself.
Wow.
And I don't stop directing until I see that. Like I've never had a person where I just gave up. Like, I'm sorry, you're just so uncharismatic and so shut down.
And so does this continue? This kind of work continue, or with the people that you work with? Do you have multiple sessions, or? I have had in the past. It's really dependent on the needs, but I have done where they've invited me back to the company, and then I've done it again. Also, it helps, like if you have to do social media videos or be on camera, like I had one client who was starting to do a lot on Fox News for economics. He was a top financial advisor. And so he was really grateful because he got better on camera when he was put into the limelight. So there are some needs like that I can help with. Right.
But I will usually come back, and then it will be like a check on, okay, how have you been feeling after the session? How have you been showing up more yourself? And how has that affected you? So we kind of have a follow-up.
Gotcha. So let's connect this then to charismatic leadership.
Yes.
So you have this session.
Yeah.
How do you extend those findings and those learnings further to help one develop their charismatic leadership?
Well, I like it when a company hires me and I get to work with this, like I said, CEO and then the executive directors. So they get the full experience. So then it helps them really look at their employees differently and are more forgiving. I don't know, more, or able to talk to them a little bit better. Because if anybody has issues, if any employees have issues, they usually don't want to tell anyone or don't want to really have an honest conversation. So this helps people, just company-wide have more honest conversations.
Yeah, and that having honest conversations becomes a problem the bigger you get, right? I mean, as a company. Yeah. I mean, because the biggest challenge that the individual at the top has is what do I not know that's about to run me over, right?
Yeah, but
that's happening within my company, right?
But aren't you thinking that anyway? Aren't they thinking that anyway?
Well, of course. Yeah. But if you haven't created the environment to have those honest conversations, right? Right. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. So
it opens up that portal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I would love it. You mentioned David Hyde Pierce, but I would love it if you maybe could share a success story. You don't have to mention names, of course, but of someone that you've worked with, and just in this manner that you're describing, where the results of that have been transformative for them and their business.
Yeah, it's not an entertainment story. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I worked with this one. It is a big CPA company in Colorado. I probably shouldn't name it, but anyway. So there was like the best CPA in that company, but she was all intellect, and they wanted to put her more in front of camera. They wanted her to be talking more about the business, but she was so locked in. She was very shut down emotionally. And she always seemed nervous, and she couldn't look people in the eye. But again, she was brilliant. So I had a whole day with her, and I managed, when I first put her on camera, she looked like a deer in headlights. Just, so, and then as the day progressed, and this interview process that I have brought out all this interesting stuff that she had going on, especially how much she loved her clients and what good work she had done for them. But she was never able to express it to anyone else because she thought it was boasting. Yeah. So I saw her open up, and then I made this video of her. It's not really a commercial, but it was where she was talking about how much she loved her clients. So by the end of the day, I made a video of her talking about that, and she was just beautiful and lit up. And then when she went back to the company and they showed this video to the entire company, she got applause.
Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was. Kind of makes me tear up.
That really, and so you really brought something out that it's not like you're pasting it on someone. You're bringing out something that's already there.
Yeah.
That they have never been in touch with in some cases.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because we just put on acts to fit in, we just do that for whatever reason.
Wow.
Insecurity. I mean, we're all insecure. For, the list of dark and light qualities, I've worked with a lot of people now doing this, and insecure is on every single one of those lists, from the CEO all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and even Matt Damon, I don't know Matt Damon at all, never worked with him, but I don't think he wakes up in the morning and goes, I am so great. Like that's another part, is it's this insecurity that has a ripple effect that can be really detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there've been wars started off insecurities, right?
Yeah.
Wow, Cathy, this has been great. And I want to get to let's just describe again the types of clients that you work with and that you think are the best beneficiaries of your work.
I do think, high tech and I do think the left brain industries, like accounting, like finances, high tech. I was married. I'm not married anymore, but I was married to an electrical engineer. So I'm very, very aware of how shut down emotionally you can be, just because it's just too much left brain. So I think I'm an expert at that. Okay. So any of those, but really, I mean, it works for any kind of company. But those are the main ones I think I help the most, just because they have different issues.
Yeah, for sure.
So to speak.
Well, for those that would like to be in touch, would like to learn more about you and your work, let's give them directions on how they can do that.
All right. So I am on LinkedIn. So Cathy Reinking on LinkedIn. I have a website. It's not I hope it's a charismatic website, but it doesn't have to be, because it does show what I can do. But so my website is youritfactor.net, not .com, .net. So youritfactor.net. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm all over Instagram at Cathy Casting on Instagram. So
terrific.
So that's it. John Ray will also give you my contact information. You contact him.
Yeah, for certainly. We'll have it on the show page, folks. So we'll have everything right there. So just check that out as well. But Cathy Reinking, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you, and congratulations on the great work you're doing. We're delighted we could celebrate it.
Yeah, thank you, John. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you
so deeply.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder: if your back office lacks charisma, where am I going with that, right? If you've got administrative tasks that are weighing you down, if your bookkeeping consists of a Nike shoebox and receipts that are all over the place, you need help back there, right? And your business is getting weighed down, and you are too, because of all those things that you are keeping you from dealing with the parts of your business that you really need as an owner to pay attention to, and that's your clients and your prospective clients and your employees. The team at Office Angels can come in and clean all that stuff up for you and do it without making it difficult for you. They do great work, and I know that work personally because they do work for me that's terrific, and I can't run my business without them. So my suggestion, if you're shy, you can go to officeangels.us and check them out. But my suggestion is you just give them a call at 678-528-0500. Explain your problem, explain what your issues are, and let them work it out for you and give you a roadmap to go forward. And I think you'll be glad that you did. And folks, just a quick reminder, I've got a book coming out later this year that is called The Price and Value Journey, Raising Your Confidence, Your Value, and Your Prices Using the Generosity Mindset Method. If you're a professional services provider that you're having issues with your business development or your pricing, that's a book that might be of interest to you. It'll be out later this year, fall winter of 2023. So go to Price Value Journey to learn more, to sign up for updates, to receive the updates on when the book's coming out. And you can, of course, email me, John at johnray.co is one place to find me. And I want to thank you, our listeners. You're just amazing. You've helped us get to the point where we are now, where we're about to break through to show number 700 of North Fulton Business Radio. We've only gotten this far because of you. You continue to share the show when you've heard great guests like Cathy who do great work, and you think you know somebody else that could benefit from hearing about that work. You follow us on social media, North Fulton Business Radio, North Fulton BRX on all the major platforms. You follow us there. You like our stuff, and we appreciate you very much. So please keep doing that. And we're going to be grateful to you. We are grateful to you for helping us fulfill our voice to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region. So for my guest, Cathy Reinking, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.